Okay, class, we're starting getting some poets that are pretty famous and that I know personally. Billy Collins is one of those. I was around him when he was at Sarah Lawrence College when I was doing my MFA. He's a funny guy and he's got some funny poetry. I have one lecture that shows you the complexity of just one of his short poems. But I thought I'd show you some of these other ones too. This lanyard is, if a lanyard, I don't know if you guys do this or not, or I don't know how it is since I was a kid in the 80s and you guys were kids like yesterday. Um, I'm just kidding. But a lanyard is kind of like this long rectangular plastic thing that's braided that goes on like a keychain or whatever, and that's the tools that Billy Collins uses to create humor in this poem is the repetition and the comparison between what the mom does for the narrator, the son, and what the son in return gives the mother. So if you kind of listen, you can hear most of the techniques that he uses. The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly. That is a literary reference there I won't bore you with. A past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin strips into a lanyard, a gift for my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breast, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are 1,000 meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education. And here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made, with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and two clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift. Not the worn out truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the two-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even. So again, there's a lot of comparison being used between what the mother has given the son, and the son narrator here is using repetition to create humor, to compare that with all the imagery and the things the mother is given with this little lanyard he's given, and that's the kind of the humor of the poem. I also want to talk about marginalia. Marginalia means anything written in the margin, and the kind of the force of this poem, and it goes on to the next page, by the way, is all about this, like, he makes all kind of references to great literature, okay, and then just kind of the stupid stuff that you and I and we all write in the margin as we make notes for tests and stuff like that. And uh and um I mean, it's pretty much this whole thing pretty much depends on literary illusion and reference, that you get these things like you learned in high school: man versus nature, man versus man versus society, man versus God or supernatural. These types of things and these literary references and all this stuff. And I guess the whole point of this poem is what Billy Collins, or the narrator, it's not necessarily Billy Collins, but what the narrator of this poem finds valuable in all the marginalia on the third page of the poem here is this handwritten note in this beautiful pencil curvaceous writing that's feminine that he knows is written by some beautiful girl, and that even though he never meets her, what he finds interesting out of all this marginalia is this: pardon the egg salad stains, but I'm in love. And that one phrase means more to him than all that marginalia about these great works of literature. And what it ends up being for this poem, it ends up being a statement on what we find valuable as humans and poets as moments of truth, of human experience. And out of all the stuff that he found, out of all that literature, the most valuable thing to him, the takeaway from this marginalia, because that is the title of the poem, Marginalia, the takeaway from it is, pardon the egg salad stains, but I'm in love. And that is the most valuable thing that he sees on that page. So I just hope this gives you a little insight into Billy Collins and his humor and what poets find valuable, which is the human experience. Thank you, class.